Hello there. So it's been quite a while since we've had a news video, done some other stuff in between, but really through the month of November, there was only one significant batch of news announcements, and that was in this first form video that UVS Games did, and that was kind of already a 15-minute video, so making a video to talk about the things that were in another video that you could just watch that instead was kind of silly, so we held off on that until there was some other news to talk about, and as tends to go, we randomly started getting a big pile of stuff in the past 36 hours or so. We knew some of it was coming with the new ban announcement, and we'll start right there. So, as expected, Capture Evildoers has been banned, and also Back Alley Haymaker has finally taken a ban. If you've been, around and following the metagame, Capture Evildoers is not a surprise at all. It's gotten easier and easier to sort of pop off with that card on turn 2, turn 3. With Ryukyu, with Miria, with Phantom Threat. It's been kind of menacing the meta for a while, and that is... After a bit of a delay, it certainly could have been banned last month. That's been taken out. And they also decided to come around and hit Back Alley Haymaker based on... they cite a bunch of usage statistics, that sort of thing. It was never really... it's always seen a lot of play, but it's seen even more lots and lots of play at Nationals, I guess, and they finally decided they were done with it and took the ban hammer to that one. So that's one of the big pieces of news. There's actually quite a bit here. We also, yesterday they launched, kind of as a surprise, they launched a new remade UGN. This is their organized play app. It now lives at play.uvsgames.com. Any old links you have to play.mha.com, events and whatnot, those will all no longer work. I believe the root domain has a redirect on it, but individual links are all going to be broken. The existing, your loyalty points, which are now being called UVS player coins, have been carried over. Existing events have been carried over. There's been some holes. Event descriptions seem to have been lost. They have said that it is known and intended that old event rosters will be there, but not necessarily the actual results of those events, but you'll be able to see, what events you participated in, probably for the purposes of those player coins, right? Some other stuff needs some work. The My Events page doesn't seem to be working for anybody, things like that, but presuming that the new devs are, good and responsive, they'll probably fix that stuff pretty quickly. If you have not signed up for it yet, you want to make an account there using the same email you had on play.mha.com. That's how it's going to know. It's going to see that email. It's going to say, okay, go get that person's data from the old database and put it into this one. If you use a different email, that's not going to work. You do not have to use the same password. You can come up with your own password. That's whatever. But provided you do that, you should see all your stuff populate. You might get a verification email. Mine took like 10 or 15 minutes to show up, so have some patience with that. But if, after a little while you're having some problems, something's not working that you're expecting to be working, then go ahead and put in a ticket in the Universus Discord. They also, part of this, most of this is just like a different look and feel and all the same stuff that we had on the previous UGN, but there is also now an official deck builder element to it. It's new, it's just launched, it has some wrinkles in it. It's going to need a bunch of work, but it is there, and it will probably be used for official deck submissions. So that when you register for a tournament, you can send your deck list in through there instead of having to like screen cap your UVS Ultra page and all that other stuff you had to do. Hopefully they get it sort of touched up. There's a lot of stuff in there that's very puzzling. It doesn't seem like they had very many players look into this or test the mock-up or anything like that. It seems like they just kind of had someone say, hey, go work on this as a deck builder for a card game. Go do your thing. And there's some UVS specific stuff in there that's not quite ideal, but nonetheless, it's there. You can use it. You can look up decks on it. Try it out. Try to at least get a little familiar with it, because you're probably going to need to make a deck on there for some official event coming up or something. Other recent news, this past weekend, we had the Winter Warmup, the first Winter Warmup webcam event. Kind of a moot point now, but it was won by Jose Norono playing Ryukyu, which was, of course, one of the peak Capture Evildoers decks. Jose Norono winning significant webcam events is obviously nothing new. He wins just about all of them. for whatever reason, he has that mojo. But you know, he took it down. Obviously, future Ryukyu decks are going to look a decent bit different. But you know, Jose gets the nice travel voucher to help cover his trip to, well, probably not his trip to his HLC because he lives down there, but his trip to some regional at some point. Jose, you should use that to come to Rochester. We have another regional. That's what you should do. We also had the rules update for Jetburn came out. A little delayed, but it's out. Nothing really surprising in there, just sort of covering all the new keywords and terminology that they're using. Some terms that hadn't appeared before that were maybe back in, you know, the old UFS days, and a couple like patches and fixes to the loopholes that people saw. Lastly, you know, we've got coming up here, the next meaningful event we have coming up is going to be Tam Cardwell and Let's Talk UVS's Winter Bash webcam tournament. That is on December 16th, so a little under 2 weeks, and that is a cash type event. The prize pool sounds like it's going to be $10 for each person who enters. We're at like 43 entries so far, so that's going to be pretty good. Plus an additional, I think there was $500 added to the pot by a benefactor. So this is going to be really substantial. It's basically a 1K at this point, and it's only going to grow as more people sign up. And on top of that, they're splitting up 2 cases among the top 8, in addition to splitting up the cash pool among the top 8. So a pretty high value event. It's got a pretty good number of sign up, but pretty tough field it's looking like so far. It would actually be really good place to get in some testing with whatever you might be thinking of bringing to the LCQ or even the HLC if you're qualified for that. So you know, check that out. There's a link in the description. I don't know if the event description is there yet. That's one of those ones, you know, event descriptions were lost in the transfer, but you can find information about it in, I'm sure Tam's Discord has. I don't know if Let's Talk UVS has a Discord or not, but you can find the event in the event hype tab in the official Discord. But there's a link to the UGN app event in there. So if you're free on the 16th, they want to make it a one-day event. They're going to hard cut top 8 no matter what. I believe it's 6 rounds of Swiss no matter what to get it done in one day, so it's not a full weekend thing. So if you're free on that Saturday, even if you're doing something on that Sunday, you can come take a crack at winning some pretty good prizes there. Also, not listed on the screen notes, Red Riot Games up in Canada is doing a webcam event in mid-January, on January 13th. They're offering up a Chrome Rare as their prize, which is pretty cool. I believe it's a Chrome Dobby that they have that they're putting up as a webcam prize, and see if they can stir some interest there. That's just going to be a few weeks before the HLC and right before the Challenger decks release, so you know, if your local stores are going to be doing Challenger release events, that might be one of your last chances to play in something pretty competitive before the big event. So, you know, again, another link to the event page in the description. Take a look at that if you're free that weekend. So all of that was just stuff that materialized very recently. And then we'll go over the stuff from First Form because it's been a couple weeks at this point. People might have forgotten things. Never hurts to summarize. Try to do this pretty quickly, though. So, you know, first of all, they talked about the Challenger decks. We got to see the alt arts for Spike and Vash, just sort of some different treatment, a little more artistic. I think Vash is just kind of in a different pose with maybe a little bit of a different background. Those alt arts are going to be in the collector's packs that come with these things, right? These are going to have the 60-card deck as well as the collector's pack. And then we also got to see Faye and Wolfwood and what those characters do, so that's pretty cool. I believe they also specified in the text article that they figured out the distribution issue that was going to stop them from getting the Cowboy Bebop one into other countries. So if you are in Europe or somewhere else, I believe you can expect for the Cowboy Bebop Challenger to be available in addition to the Trigun Stampede one. So it's good that they got that sorted out. Also got a bunch of early details on the Dark Tournament set, the Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament set that we now know is releasing on February 23rd is going to be the release for that. They previewed a bunch of early cards. Yusuke above, we got to see one of the secret wares, we got to see some other things. They have talked about some of the wrinkles of this set. First of all, the only XRs are going to be characters. I'm not sure if XRs are going to have the same rarity distribution, right? Or if it's going to be harder to find them perhaps now. But they are going to do alternate art ultra rares sort of as a different level of rarity besides these character XRs. So there's going to be 6 URs with this treatment in it. So if you're into collecting fancier versions of cards, instead of looking for the XR URs, you can be looking for the alternate art ultra rares, right? So we'll see how that goes. We got to see one of them. That means there are 5 more. There's also going to be a 12th card in packs for this set. This is going to be a reprint slot. So they've picked, I think it was 35 cards from the original Yu Yu Hakusho set that they are putting into these packs as reprints. This can include some old keywords. That does not mean they are bringing back Reversal. Someone did a count, and they could pretty safely count to 35 without including any reversals or multiples. Or gauge moves, specifically, would be the 3 keywords that might be problematic in this situation, but there can be a desperation move. Right, they even previewed Sword Get Longer, which has Desperation 4. So we might be seeing that keyword a bit coming back in some of these reprints. These reprints will be standard legal. And, if you look over the Yu Yu Hakusho set, pretty much you narrow it down pretty quickly if you just sort of count 35 cards that would be plausible for them to reprint and don't have one of those problem keywords on it, right? So kind of have an idea of what those cards are going to be in advance. But there are also, in those slots can appear some reprints that will have the old watermark on them, so they'll only be retro legal. But they have new card frames and fancy treatments. They showed a Toguro Brothers reprint, which is one of the most maligned cards in the history of the game. A very, very powerful action card that people have a lot of people have wanted banned for a very long time. They are committing to having this thing in their retro format by making this alternate art reprint. It does look really good. It's got all sorts of treatment on it, and there's going to be a few more of those, apparently. I imagine, some major mainstays from the set. Spirit Shotgun's probably going to be one of the cards. No immediate guesses off the top of my head what the other 2 are, but there are definitely some options for sure. And the last special thing they're doing for the Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament is their release events are going to feed into something. They haven't said whether we're going to have pre-release events. They might. But in any event, on the 23rd, probably on the weekend of the 23rd, I can't imagine it's going to be just on exactly that Friday, but it might not be a full week thing. We still don't have clarification on that. But anyway, these release weekend events, the winner is going to get to participate in what they're calling a wish tournament, on a webcam wish tournament that they're going to have, where the winner will get a wish of some kind. Now, obviously, that's not going to be an open-ended thing. They're not going to let you just name whatever you want. There's going to be some sort of guidelines or restrictions, or maybe it's going to be you get to wish for a card to be reprinted or something specific like that. So we don't really know what that means. There's going to be more details about what that means at some point in a week or 2 here. I said in mid-December they'd be talking about that, so that should be coming up. So a little bit of stakes on these Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament release events, which are going to be sealed events. So that should get pretty spicy. Hopefully, it doesn't feel like too monumental of a deal that people get really mad about their sealed polls or whatever, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what this Wish Tournament really is. For both of these releases, the upcoming releases, they gave a bit of a preview calendar, so to say. Like I mentioned before, in December, some point this month, we're going to get details on that Wish Tournament. But besides that, there's going to be some art previews through December for both of these. I didn't put that on here because it's just art previews, but it'll be cool nonetheless. Starting in the first week of January, after we're done with New Year's, there's going to be what they're calling a breakdown video or a breakdown article about the Challenger decks, which I guess are going to get into more specifics about the exact contents of what rarities, what sorts of things are in the collector's pack, that sort of stuff. We don't really know. I don't know if they've done one termed this way before, but they're going to start with one of those and then start getting into the specific previews for the Challenger decks. And then on January 19th is the Challenger deck launch. For Yu Yu Hakusho breakdown and previews, they listed basically January through February, which I assume just means after the Challenger launches. We'll get into the Dark Tournament stuff for the coming month until the February 3rd Dark Tournament release. And then those release events will feed into a Wish Tournament in I guess early to mid-March at some point. I don't remember if they put a date for that or not. And then I'm guessing after that we'll get into 2024 major organized play in earnest, presumably starting in April or something, which is pretty much when it started in 2023. So no reason to expect anything different next year. we're still waiting on those organized play details, but nice to have this winter warm-up event. The second one, of course, coming in January. These fan run events with Tam and Let's All Go UVS and Red Riot games. A lot to keep us busy in the meantime as we go over the new year, and a new format with two bands that are really going to shake things up and really open some options that were pretty rough before 2.5 hours ago. So yeah, looking forward to all of that. I hope to see a bunch of you in the Tam and David Tome's Winter Bash on December 16th. I'll be playing in that because I cannot play in the Winter Warm-Up 2 because I'm going to be casting it. So that'll be fun. So for me, these fan run events are going to be the main things I get to play in between now and the LCQ, so we're definitely going to hit those up. Alright. Next videos will be, whenever there's some news. There's certainly some ideas I have related to these bands, related to some general stuff for some videos, but no defined plans of when the next thing's going to come out, as usual, kind of sporadic, but less than a month before the next one in any event. But until then, have a good night.